Cheryl Swoops and other critics of Caitlin Clark have been saying for months that no one wants to play for the Indiana Fever, but earlier this week, two-time WNBA champion Sydney Colson arrived in Indiana with a message that completely changed that perception. I'm really excited about it, and I'm saying I'm going from a team that was very in the media, like people were excited to watch us, and another team that is probably the most talked about team in sports right now, especially in women's sports. So this fan base, it's exciting to be a part of a team that has a lot of positive energy around it, franchise, and what she said at her press conference may be the strongest defense of Clark we've heard from a veteran player yet. Are you ready, girl? Well, I thought I saw the reflection when I was crossing the street, but Sydney Colson just blew that narrative to pieces. Her first day in Indiana tells a whole different story. The atmosphere changed the moment Sydney walked through the doors of the Fever facility, and the team's viral arrival video showed teammates and staff rushing to welcome her with genuine excitement and open arms. This wasn't a staged public relations gimmick. Observe the genuine happiness that radiated from the entire building as they welcomed their newest teammate, Saint. It's good to see you too. How are you doing? 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 I've already met you. What's even more noteworthy is the sharp contrast between this warm welcome and the harsh criticism we've heard from Swoops and other critics who said that seasoned veterans would rather run for cover than play with Caitlin Clark. The video depicts a different story of unity and excitement for what's ahead. When Sydney first saw her new Fever jersey, her excitement and pride were evident as she held it up, beaming from ear to ear, expressing her love for those new team colors. It wasn't just about wearing another uniform. You could tell that this moment represented something much deeper for her, a new chapter, a fresh opportunity, and yes, the chance to be part of something special brewing in Indiana. Her interactions with Fever staff members were equally telling, and General Manager Amber Cox didn't mince words when she said, "I think she's going to bring a lot of joy to our lives this season." She was someone we targeted really early to come in and play that backup point guard role. We have complete faith and trust in her, and she will be able to lead our team in any situation we put her in. She also brings a lot of fun and levity to the locker room, so I think she's going to bring a lot of joy to all of our lives this season. The instant chemistry Sydney displayed with everyone she encountered speaks volumes about the culture being built within this organization, one that directly contradicts the negative narratives being pushed by certain former players. It's interesting to note how quickly Sydney's arrival video went viral on social media. According to Fever's metrics, the post received thousands of likes and retweets within hours, and fans weren't just celebrating the addition of a new player, they were rallying around Sydney's genuine enthusiasm about joining this team. That kind of genuine connection can't be manufactured, and that's exactly what makes the critics' claims seem more desperate and out of touch. I believe that the goal of free agency was to bring in veteran leadership, and we've done that by bringing in players who have had deep playoff runs. For example, you can look at a player like Sydney Colson, who is a winner, knows how to win, and knows how to play a role, so she was someone we targeted really early, but when the plan comes together, you feel really good about it again. It looks great on paper and we got to get everyone on the court, but overall I'm really excited about the roster. However, Sydney didn't just show up for the cameras. Her first workout with the team showed why the Fever sought her out from the beginning. She brought an elite level of commitment, showcasing her skills and infectious energy that reinforced why they needed her veteran presence. I play with Amber and Stephanie Kelsey, and I've been a player for a number of years. I love Caitlin's game and I love Aaliyah's game. It just made sense mentally before DB and Natasha were even included in the mix, and it's going to be a fun season with all the new additions Breezy Sophie-like. What most people don't realize is that Sydney chose Indiana because she wanted to be there regardless of who else joined the roster later. The critics who said veterans would avoid Indiana at all costs have some serious explaining to do now that not only did Sydney choose to join the Fever, but her genuine excitement about the opportunity completely contradicts the negative narrative surrounding Clark and this franchise. Alright, switching gears, we are looking forward to a new season. Sydney Colson, a guard, is joining the Indiana Fever after spending 3 seasons with the Las Vegas Aces, where she helped the team win back-to-back WNBA titles in 2022 and 2023. Critics weren't just wrong about Sydney joining Indiana, they were also wrong about what she would say once she arrived. During her first press conference with the Fever, Sydney Colson had the ideal opportunity to give a diplomatic, lukewarm response regarding Caitlin Clark, but what she said sent shockwaves through the basketball world. Listen to what Colson had to say today when asked what she hopes to bring to the Indiana Fever. For months, critics like Cheryl Swoops had pushed the idea that veterans would feel uneasy with all the attention focused on a rookie. This was the moment of truth. What was it like to watch what Caitlin did for this franchise from a different perspective? Yes, it was nuts. To put it another way, it was nuts. I think you're seeing a team that's now like affecting the city's economy, and you have people traveling from out of town, out of state, and possibly even to see games. So that's special. You've been studying, huh? You've been studying those studies, man. I try to pay attention, but no, it's been cool to see. When a reporter finally asked Sydney what she thought of Clark's impact on Indianapolis and the WNBA, you could hear a pin drop. With complete authenticity and a hint of amazement in her voice, Sydney delivered the three words that would completely dismantle the hater name. It was nuts. Stephanie just talked to me about how she saw me fitting in as a piece on the court for the team, and that was really important to me. Like you said, I've been in the league. This is my 14th season out of Cage, and I've never been considered much in free agency, so it meant a lot to her to see my value. Working me into being a part of the team, and yeah, I said I want to play on court more in my last couple seasons in the league if I have that, so this was just the right fit if faux right. Sydney's body language told the real story, leaning forward in her seat and gesturing confidently as she expanded on her response. Her expressions showed unmistakable respect for what Clark has accomplished, and she went even further to describe the economic impact that Clark has had on Indianapolis, attracting fans not just from around the city but also from out of state and even out of the country. She spoke of this phenomenon with pride rather than jealousy, and this wasn't a veteran reluctantly accepting a rookie's popularity. This was a champion embracing it. What do you see your role with this team? Then, considering the roster you're joining, I believe that similar to other places I've been, I'm bringing veteran leadership, knowledge, energy, defensive swinging, defensive momentum, and just be that person that's dependable. I'm gonna always come in and do my job, and I'll be happy in my role, and I'll thrive whether it's 8 minutes, 15 minutes, or 2 minutes. I'm gonna play hard, I'm getting everyone involved, and I want to win in the end. Perhaps the most telling was when Sydney called the Fever the most talked about team in sports right now. Far from avoiding the attention that comes with being Clark's teammate, Sydney was celebrating it with a confident stance and a sincere smile. It's obvious that this wasn't just PR speak, she meant everything I heard and saw. However, I know the true Indiana Fever fans, the ones who love basketball and the WNBA, and I'm excited to play in front of them and just with this team. Sydney wasn't done dismantling the hater narrative though, and she called Caitlin a remarkable player who would be good here for a long time. There was no ambiguity, no hedging, no backhanded compliments, just plain respect from one professional to another. What do you think it will be like to be a part of all these sellouts and the biggest show wherever you go now? I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be remarkable, and that's what I always thought when I was on a team that wasn't receiving that kind of Sydney's words and demeanor. Demonstrated that true champions recognize and respect talent regardless of age or experience, which is exactly the opposite of what the talking heads were saying when they claimed that veterans would resent Clark's popularity. I think we're going to be able to do what the New York Aces are doing, which is to elevate the game and get people to respect our entire league, not just a few teams. The sincerity in Sydney's voice was unmistakable. Ethic, how to keep going, not getting too high or too low, and just playing as a team, and it can make all the difference to win and have a very hungry team here. As I've mentioned multiple times, many people didn't want to see Indiana after their all-star break, so I'm excited to see that group back, but I'm also excited to add a lot of veteran experience and a lot of winning. The veteran Sydney also made a point of acknowledging the devoted Fever fan base, saying, I know the true Indiana Fever fans, the ones that love basketball, that they love the WNBA, and I'm excited to be playing in front of them. Her words revealed an appreciation for both the current fans and the new energy Clark has brought. Look at a roster like this. What's the key to making it all work in the end? I believe that everyone asked the right questions during free agency and they believed what they heard. So now it's just about everyone showing up and performing the role that people expect you to perform. For example, if I'm known for my defense and playmaking, I have to come and do that. The coaches are expecting certain things from you and your teammates are. It's just about being a professional and showing up and doing your job so that everything can come together and come with a positive attitude so we can make it work. When the Fever signed Sydney Colson, casual fans thought it was just another roster move, but basketball insiders saw something much more important. Master stroke and a championship blueprint that has been subtly developing throughout the offseason. I'm really excited to be in the city and show the community that we care and that we want to fully immerse ourselves here. Let's go back to where the Fever was before this season. Indiana struggled defensively and lacked the veteran leadership necessary to guide their developing core. They needed players who understood what it takes to win at the highest level, not just any veterans but ones who could embrace a team suddenly thrust into the spotlight with Clark's arrival. Critics like Swoops doubled down on the claim that no veteran wants to play second fiddle to a rookie getting all the attention. But GM Amber Cox and the Fever front office weren't paying attention to the commotion. They were carrying out a flawless plan. You mean to tell me that Sydney Colson, the face of the Got Dog League and a two-time WNBA champ, is leaving the Aces and joining the Indiana Fever? First of all, do the Fever even have any roster spots available? How many people are you guys going to sign? You may be wondering why there is so much talk about a backup guard, but Colson isn't your average bench player. She's a defensive dynamo with court vision that would make an Eagle jealous, and her three-point shot is pure silk. Imagine those skills paired with Caitlin Clark, or imagine Colson taking over when Clark needs a break, are taking all the necessary steps to ensure their star is content and receives a ring, but I didn't know they were going to load up like this. For example, Sydney Colson recently signed resigning Kelsey Mitchell. You already have Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Lexi and Aaliyah Boston. Let's break it down. They already have plenty of so they needed a secret weapon who could lock down opponents, make the right play and knock down shots when it matters most. Sydney Colson is a two-time WNBA champion, a true vet, and an incredible backup point guard. When CC or any of the guards need to go to the bench, she always makes the right call. Then you have a vet like Danana Bonner, another vet like Kelsey Mitchell, CC, Aaliyah Boston, and Lexi, but wait, there's more. Colson brings something to the table that you can't measure with stats leadership. She's been there, done, and has the championship rings to prove it. That winning mentality is contagious, and for a young team like the Fever, it could be the spark that ignites a championship run. I hope that some of you, if you're not familiar with Sydney, I hope you watch them and watch her highlights, because don't just be like, oh, Sydney Colson, she barely scored last year, she's not good for the Indian. Sydney Colson, a veteran who has been through the wars and knows what it takes to win at the highest level, is the ideal mentor for Clark and Mitchell. She is able to keep them calm and show them the ropes when the pressure is on. Caitlin Clark actually spoke about this on Sunday, and she said, quote, "I'm excited. Obviously we made some great moves. I think Kelly and Amber and the whole Fever organization are helping us to win now, and I think that's really important. I think they're putting really good pieces together that will complement each other really, really well." She went on to discuss Seth, their new head coach, and said, "I think is going to be really great basketball mind, someone that actually called and quite a few of my college game relationship with her, and just work on things that she probably saw when I was a freshman in college." But Colson's influence extends beyond the court. She is renowned for being a locker room MVP, the type of player who keeps the team together when things get tough, and she's been there before, making big plays in high-stakes playoff games when the lights are brightest and the pressure is at its highest. She doesn't shrink, she shines, which is exactly the kind of player you want supporting your stars. We knew Caitlin Clark was this incredible talent, but she was entering a league that she was unfamiliar with. The Indiana Fever were a rookie, building and rebuilding their organization and this team, and they have a lot of amazing pieces, but the fact that they made it to the playoffs and were a team, even though they didn't advance far in the playoffs, we kept saying that if you face them, they're going to make it difficult for you. That organization saw that and said, "We're capitalizing on this and we're doing it now." But this is where the story gets even more interesting. When Colson won her Texas AANDM championship in 2011, the championship game took place in Indianapolis, the city where she now hopes to bring another trophy. It's the kind of full-circle moment that makes you wonder if some championships are just meant to be. Devon Tommy Colson didn't waste any time embracing Indiana basketball culture. In fact, during her first days in town, she was seen courtside at a Pacers game against the Minnesota Timberwolves. She wasn't just there, but she was completely immersed in the experience, interacting with fans, taking in the atmosphere, and becoming a part of the basketball fabric that makes Indiana unique. Welcome to the Indiana Fever Guard and 2 WNBA champion Sydney Colson. What the Fever has put together around Clark, Boston is nothing short of extraordinary. With the additions of Natasha Howard, Danana Boner, and Sophie Cunningham in addition to Colson, Indiana hasn't just improved, they've become a legitimate threat for the championship. This roster now includes the ideal balance of youth and experience. Offensive firepower and grit this season. You got Danana, and some of you don't think that seed was that valuable music. Take a moment to consider what this means. The young corp of Clark, Boston, Hull, and Mitchell now have championship veterans surrounding them at every position. Howard brings elite two-way play in the front court. Boner adds scoring punch and versatility. Cunningham provides shooting and toughness. And Colson provides defensive intensity and championship leadership from the backup point guard. In my opinion, what Steph White and the Fever organization are doing is nothing short of amazing. They are taking this young talented core that they have, with Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark, and they are adding veteran players that Stephanie White has already worked with. Let's talk about that too, and they have chemistry with and know the work ethic. They are building this super team, make no mistake about it, that will give you instant results. When Sydney Colson said, "This isn't just a collection of talented players, it's a perfectly constructed roster where each piece complements the others. The veterans will handle the pressure moments while the young stars have a chance at another championship run. I want to win in the end." She wasn't merely making a typical press statement, she was laying down the championship gauntlet that Indiana has been missing. Those 5 words completely break the Cheryl Swoops narrative, because veterans aren't just interested in playing with Caitlin Clark, they're literally lining up to chase rings with her. First of all, the Indiana Fever will not be able to rest because of WNBA free agency. Second, they're not playing any games in Indiana. But I love this move again because Sydney Colson is a fantastic player who will contribute even more to the topics we'll be discussing later. The 2025 season is looking to be potentially historic for Indiana basketball with Colson's winning mentality now in the mix. The Fever isn't just building for the future, they're ready to compete right now. The rest of the WNBA has been put on notice. Are you excited? Let us know in the comments, like and subscribe so you never miss it. This isn't just hopeful thinking, it's backed by the championship DNA that's now coursing through this roster. The following one